Toronto's real estate market roared back to life in January 2024, but are we back to where things are ramping up rapidly, or are we just comparing ourselves to January of 2023? I'm Michael Ouzas. I'm a realtor here in Toronto. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the market for 2024. And if you ever want to book in a call with me to discuss what's been happening on the ground level in the Toronto real estate market, you can click on that first link in the description down below. So now that we've entered into February and we've seen all the data for January and what's been happening in the market, at least on every news article imaginable, it feels like these days, let's break down one of the articles that stood out the most to me in the past week. Toronto's real estate market roared back to life, ending the short-lived buyer's market that followed a sluggish fall season that hit a multi-decade low for sales. Home sales were up 37% compared to January 2023. New listings increased by 6.1%. Sales to new listing ratio now at 50%, meaning the GTA is in a balanced market. Anything below 40% is considered a buyer's market. Anything above 60% a seller's market. And looking at this graph, we'll see how things played out over the last basically 12 years or so. We've ebbed and flowed into and out of that seller's market, but not really trending too much into a buyer's market, except for the September 2023 and parts of basically May 17 and September of 17. So ebbing and flowing in and out of that balanced market up to sellers and down into buyers. They also got to mention that there'll be more competition between buyers in 2024 as demand picks up, supply of new listings remains constrained, and result will be upward pressure on selling prices over the next 2 years. It is important to note that the average selling price in January was less than the average selling price of January 2023, and that number was by about $10,000 as a whole. And if we look at the breakdown of those, detached actually went up by 0.8%, semis went up 1.08%. And if you watch my last video, semis are the hottest properties on the market right now, and townhouses at 0.5%. However, condo prices in 2023 dropped about 0.6%. The biggest jump for sales were definitely in condos, where we saw a lot of the condos at the end of the year start to get absorbed into 2024. And those bargains that we were seeing in September, October, November are starting to dissipate as we've been starting into the new year. The other element is that it makes sense because typically condos are that entry-level property or first-time buyer property in the city of Toronto. If we look at what's been going on pricing, down about 1% from January of 2023. January 2023 was one of the slowest months on record for a January for the Toronto real estate market. Active listings up 8.5% and total sales up 37%. Still well below where things were in 2022. And as discussed, 2023 was an ultra low for January. Active listings at 9,300 as well, which was double 2022 and just a bit up from 2021. In 2024, we're at just over 10,000 listings, and that's actually not a ton of listings when it comes to the Toronto real estate market. Months of inventory at 2.4, which is a number that we haven't seen in a little bit of time, and we'll go through that in a second. If we look at condos, prices down about 1% as well, and condo sales up 40% compared to a year ago. That'll be something to watch as we go along. Taking a look at Toronto proper compared to the Greater Toronto area paints a little bit different of a picture, but only to a certain extent. And active listings up 17%, double the amount for the Greater Toronto area. If we look at total sales up 33%, give or take. Average price for condos, and this is what's starting to stand out a little bit here, down about 0.2%. It's pretty much similar to where pricing was last year at this time. And if we look at condo sales up 46%, we're back to 3 months of inventory, which is super important, and we're going to talk about that at the end of this video. I find this monthly sales data chart the most important chart that we go through to give a good indication of where things have gone over the course of the full year. If you look at January 2023, and as we mentioned, one of the lowest sales ever for the Toronto real estate market, 3,100. Things definitely trended up through February, March into May and June. If you've been watching this channel, we've been talking about this for the last couple of weeks about how things really escalated last year once the Bank of Canada paused rates in January 2023. Active listings went from 9,300 up to about 15,000 in June, July, and August, and then crept up in September, October. As we've been declining now, we're about half the amount of listings as we were in October, which also presents an inventory difference from where things were in October till now. In October, over 4 months of inventory, definitely into balanced market market territory, even a buyer's market in some sectors, notably condos. Now we're back down to about that 2.5 months of inventory range. And here's what's important about that. Once inventory gets down to 2 months, that's when we start to see the market take off. That's when we start to see more and more bidding wars across the city. And that's when we also start to see properties selling very quickly for more of a premium of a price. When we're in that 4 months of inventory, buyers have more selection, more time on these properties. As we get into that 2 months of inventory, that's when the bidding wars typically start. So we're going to be watching that very closely. And this is shown here in May, where we saw a low of 1.3 months of inventory for the city, which was the highest price point of the year as well, at about 1.2 million, almost $200,000 more than the prices are at today, on average, of course. Days on market went from almost a whole month in January down to about 2 weeks, and that's reflective again of the months of inventory. Then we got up to about almost 40 days on market in January 2024, and this will be interesting as we head into February. Hope you enjoyed those stats as a way to break down the news articles that you're seeing. I hear your comments down below on your thoughts for the articles and the stats. I'm Michael Ouzas. Thanks for watching.